This week's episode is brought to you by Gavin H., who suggested the featured movie on our Facebook page. Thanks for the movie suggestion, Gavin. If you have a movie you'd like us to cover on the show, and come on, we all know you do, then we're going to tell you all the ways you can do that at the end of the episode. And now, let's begin. My name is Sheldon, and this is The Graveyard Shift, Horror with Sheldon and Mike. Welcome to episode 50 of the Graveyard Shift Horror Podcast, where each week we watch a movie from the horror category and break it down into the good, the bad, and sometimes the downright confusing. We'll talk about the plot, some production details, and anything else we think is fun or relevant. I'm your host Sheldon, and I never worked the Graveyard Shift alone. Please say hello to my favorite bastard son of Loki, my co-host Mike.
Hello.
So, Mike, how are you?
Pretty darn good. It's been a good week. Looking forward to seeing Avengers some point, somewhere, somehow. Even if I had to see the damn thing myself, because I can't get anybody to line up their schedule. But I'm gonna.
It's good. You should see it, and I'm sure by the time this airs, you'll actually have seen it. So.
And if I haven't, then I deserve to be bombarded with spoilers.
I already sent you all the spoilers you need. You don't know what they mean, but it's all you need. Trust me. You'll know after you see it. Well, Mike, we watched something very different than any other movie we've watched so far for the show. So why don't you tell everyone what this episode's all about?
Today's episode is The Hills Have Ikeas, because we watched The Ritual.
We sure did. A little Scandinavian movie. And I'm not sure what to think of it. Like, I really liked it. It's a great movie. I would actually recommend it. Like, it's not something that's going to, knock your socks off or anything like that. But I thought it was really good. But Mike and I were talking before we started recording that we actually find this one a little hard to talk about. Not that, there's anything disturbing or anything like that. Just that it doesn't raise a lot of talking points.
Yeah, my list is suitably malnourished.
Yeah.
We may, if we want to pad this thing out, we may have to dip our toes briefly into a synopsis.
We just might have to do that. And I can waste some time by saying that I actually brought something for the recording, something that's a little special. Because normally, you guys heard me mention it before. Normally, while we're recording, I like to have a glass of scotch while I'm doing this. But I switched it up a little bit this time and actually bought a little Scandinavian beer, something called a Steibergit. And it's an IPA. And man, let me tell you, these Swedes don't fuck around with their beer. This is a 6.5% alcohol, and it's actually pretty damn delicious. So you're looking for something that's like a little more stronger than the typical 4.5% beers, then check that one out. It is good.
And if any of our listeners are Swedish or partake of Swedish beverages, send me some.
Yeah, Mike's always open to free gifts.
Yep.
Any breweries, anyone who works in a brewery that's checking out our show, hook us up. We'll give you a shout out.
Yeah.
But anyway,
put out something like a spooky brow. We'll plug the shit out of it.
Absolutely. Okay, so to get back on topic, here's a little bit of information about The Ritual. Based on a novel of the same name, The Ritual is a 2017 British horror movie directed by David Bruckner and produced by Andy Serkis. And yes, that Andy Serkis. It had a budget of $350,000 and it had a box office return of just over $1 million. Rotten Tomatoes gives this one a critic score of 70% and an audience score of 58 because people are dumb. This movie was much better than that. As for the plot, After experiencing a tragedy, a group of college friends reunite for a trip through the forest, but encounter a menacing presence in the woods that's stalking them. So, I guess that description is accurate and doesn't exactly give you a whole lot of details. You want to tell everybody, fill some people in on what's actually stalking them?
It is some demon, deer, stag, totem pole, motherfucker.
It is all those things.
That apparently wears a robe, despite the fact that it is likely an animal.
But yeah, it is like they actually describe it as a god in this, and to go back to my little intro coming in, they literally call it a bastard son of Loki.
Yeah, and someone who was I know someone of Nordic descent, and he tells me that Loki he got around. Like he has a Sleipnir tattoo on his shoulder, and it's an interesting story. Loki had to make some deal with some guy to make a wall to keep the trolls out of Asgard, and the guy's just like. The guy's just like, okay, if I get it done before winter, then you give me like a shit ton of stuff. I forget what the prize was. So Loki was around to basically tempt his. Loki's a shapeshifter, so he took the form of a mare to tempt the workman's horse to screw up his efforts so that he couldn't get the wall built in the time that he promised. And Loki just let that horse chase him all over the place, and I guess he figured the horse earned a little something, so he let the horse have his way, and then he got knocked up and gave birth to a horse thing named Sleipnir with like 8 legs.
Jesus, yeah, man. The Norse mythology, like the Scandinavian mythology, like the story, all the stories about their gods and demons are some very fucked up stuff.
Yeah, being a shapeshifter, like, okay, if you want to know what a little horse action felt like, that's fine. But staying in that horse form afterwards to get pregnant and carry the whole thing to term, of course, I imagine like if you're pregnant with some monster horse thing and you try to shift into a human form again, you're gonna come up with some wicked indigestion.
Yeah, that's got disaster written all over it.
So I guess he's just like, I'm gonna ride this shit out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's that is one of the things with this movie is like, yeah, this monster, it's so hard to describe how it looks. Like I can't it starts off basic, like it kind of looks like a giant elk, but the front is all messed up. It almost looks like an upside down human hanging from it, but then the face would be where the human's crotch would be. So. It's just we're gonna have to once this episode airs, we're gonna have to post some pictures of it on our social media accounts because it's just way too hard to describe.
I have to say, if you watched Princess Mononoke on acid, then this deer is pretty much what you had a nightmare about.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So, guys, you know how this works, and if you don't, maybe you're a first-time listener, you're going to find out how it works now. We're going to talk about the good and the bad, of all the good and bad points that we found about this movie, and this can be as broad or as specific as we want. It can be an overall theme, the story, or it can be something boiled down to a certain scene, a line, a character, whatever. Anything goes, and. We always start off with the good, and of course, we always start off with the Mike. So, Mike, tell me something good about this movie.
Tell me that you like it. Tell me something good. Okay, like I said, everything here is really starved. So, my list is pretty short. I've only got 2 things. First of which, this movie was suitably creepy.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I had that on my list too. They did a great job in creating a creepy atmosphere. Very effective. Like right from the get-go, as soon as, like, even before they get to the main location, like the Swedish wilderness, even when it starts off, like, it starts off in I'm not sure if it was London, but it was a town in England, and basically these old college buddies are reunited. They're hanging out in a pub. They leave on the way home. They split up. Two of them go to a liquor store, and while they're going through some of the picking out some booze, the place gets robbed. And even that point where they're being held up, it really creates a nice tense, very unsettling atmosphere. Like, you can tell that the muggers, or the robbers should say, they're tweaking. They're all twitchy. They're very erratic, and something bad is about to go down. You're just waiting for it to happen, and it really creates a tense feeling. And that's even before, like, the actual horror part of the movie starts up.
Oh yeah, and a nice bit of gore,
Mm-hmm.
even before any monster shows up, when one of the robbers apparently has a machete and just chops a guy. Like, he doesn't chop his head off, but he puts a nice massive slice into the guy's face, which knocks him down, and he's obviously nicked an artery.
He's bleeding out pretty good. I thought I thought it like cracked his skull or something, but yeah, he's down, and his buddy is hiding away behind one of the shelves to get to see, witness everything close up. And like I said,
Yeah, we see him playing with the bottle, and I'm just thinking, like, oh, okay, well, he's gonna go rescue his buddy. No.
Chicken's Out has the what would probably be, like, for the most typical human reaction to that, but yeah, right off the bat, it starts off with a tragedy, with one of their close friends getting taken out, getting his head fucked up. And like I said, that's before we even get to the actual horror story. So you can imagine what you're in for the rest of it.
Or the setting, which is the beautiful, what was it, Swiss? It's not the Alps.
No, it's somewhere in Sweden. I'm not sure where. The only thing I can find just says, like, it's just a Scandinavian wilderness. So
It's the Toblerone Range.
there you go. So no, that's a good point. Like, that was one of the first notes I had. It's like they did a really effective job in creating atmosphere. Very foreboding, especially when there's a scene when they reach this abandoned cabin, something that, like, has not been used for a long time. Just so you know, this bad news right away, because they find a cabin and there's these markings all over the trees that surround it. And the cabin itself, like they said, as soon as you walk in, they know it hasn't been used in a while, but they found a place to shelter the storm for the night. And then they walk upstairs.
Look.
Yeah. Man, they find this... I don't even know how to describe it. Just this effigy of the creature.
Yeah, it's like this straw doll, which is like a dude holding up, but instead of axes or something like that, he's holding up antlers, and he has no head.
Yeah. So, yeah, it looks like something, like, very Blair Witch inspired, but done more effectively as far as I'm concerned. And of course, that's after they find, like, this disemboweled animal hanging from the trees outside.
Yeah, there's an elk that had a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
Considering what this thing was, he clearly had no problem eating some of his cousins.
Yeah, that's for sure. So, speaking of which, I know we already talked about it a little bit, but first thing I had on my good list was the freaky Norse mythology monster. Super weird and creepy. Very fitting when you hear about, like, all these, like, because Norse mythology is just full of weird shit. I know everybody know, like, the usual suspects. You got Odin and Thor and Loki. I mean, geez, you just need to watch a Marvel movie and you've got those. But when you go look into, like, the real... This is going to be a weird sentence. The real mythology. But, yeah, it's not all about, like, blonde gods with big hammers. It's there's some pretty weird creatures there, and I mean,
Because apparently, when you fuck animals or you let animals fuck you, you're gonna have some interesting kids.
yeah, like think about like the even like I was gonna say think about like the Grundle from like Beowulf, something like that. But even that's a little bit conservative.
You mean Grendel?
What's that?
You mean Grendel?
Grendel, yeah.
Yeah, the Grundle is like your scrotum.
Well, did you see this guy? I mean, you know, I'm not far off. Come on.
Yeah, remember Grundle and his brother Taint? Yeah, I remember him. Those two were always close.
Is that seriously what it's called?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's one of those nicknames like the Taint. It's like the Grundle.
Grundle. That's awesome.
Eh.
Educational, I'm telling you, man. Not only entertaining, but educational.
Yeah, I'm not stupid. I just know especially twisted and useless shit.
But anyway, Norse mythology is weird. Look it up.
Oh boy. Or you can just say, "Hey Mike, what else can you tell me about Norse mythology?"
Okay, so what else you got on your very short good list?
The guy is kidnapped in this weird hut. It's hard to say a village when it's only like 3 houses and like 6 people. But you know this little campground.
Well, hey, there's more than that. There's like 40 people that live in the attic of one of the buildings. So,
Well, yeah, people is a loose term.
yeah, they did look a little loose.
So he manages to escape his bonds, and one of the first people, well, I think the first person he comes across before he even gets to the weapons that these people keep close by, he gets found by the old lady, and before she can say anything, he pops her right in the kitchen.
Yeah. Yep, there's no fucking around with this guy at this point.
It's like, respect your elders? Fuck that. Like, I respected her. I respect my elders by treating them like all my other enemies. So, yeah, that's it. My good list is done.
Wow.
We may, like I said, we may have to hit a few more talking points in the movie. We may have to hit a few more plot points in the movie.
I'm sure some will come up. Well, I got a couple more for my good list. For the most part, good characters. Like, you actually felt for these people. There wasn't really like any disposable characters. One that you didn't care if they died or not. You could tell, like the actors did a good job. You could tell that this was a tight knit group. That now seemed a little fractured after what happened with their friend. Not just because one of the 5 died, but under the circumstances which he died, and the guy that witnessed his death, he feels kind of guilty about what happened, and wondering if he should have done something. And then he's wondering what the other people think. They're saying that, like, no, it's not your fault. But of course, as time goes on and people start getting a little bit stressed out, it kind of comes out that, like, yeah, like, we blame you for his death.
Or at least one of them does.
Yeah, at least one.
And he's a dick.
He is a dick. And, since I have it on the list, I'll just jump right to this, because I had on my bad list that the character was Dom, and he was fucking annoying. I hated the guy, and I know that was kind of the point. Like, you were meant to hate him. And the more I think of it, the more I realize that he is acting probably the way most of us would act in that situation. I know if, like, all this stuff was happening to me, I'd be so whiny and angry and pissed off.
And he did wrench his leg pretty fucking bad on a slope.
Because I think they did this on purpose as well, is that, like, he falls in kind of like I don't even want to say in a hole. He just, like, kind of, like, steps into, like, a dip in the ground.
Yeah, like a tiny little slope.
And it doesn't look like much, and you're like, oh, like, what a pansy. He's, like, just doing this. He's one of these attention seekers. He's just one of these people that need something to whine about. But later on, like, the next day, you actually see his leg, and he's got quite the massive bruise around his knee.
Yeah, his leg starts to look like autumn leaves.
Yeah.
And, those colors look great on leaves, not so great on skin. And you realize this guy's been pretty well composed, considering the fact that, if he doesn't get medical attention, his leg may fall off.
Yeah. So it's just getting worse. And so I'm like, oh, wow. I actually feel... Because I was, like, actually calling him, like, I even... In my notes, I have, what a dipshit. And then I'm like, holy shit, that he actually got injured pretty good. If that was me, I'd be, like, still laying in this freaking hole. Like, somebody, just leave me. You guys go on. I'll just die here. I'll be more comfortable here.
Yeah, you know what? I'll just lay here, and if you can come here with a helicopter from 911, or what is it in England? 912?
Something like that. I don't know. Yeah, just send a helicopter with some Swedish meatballs, and I'll be good. And a Toblerone bar. So so I guess in that way,
and he had a good ending too. Like, he was a pretty, all things considered, he was a pretty brave dude.
Yeah, I mean, like, well, again, considering the situation that they were in, like, it's a no-win situation. So, he kind of went out, like, as well as you can in that type of deal. And like I said, like, annoying character, sure, but that was kind of the point, too. So it's kind of weird to put this on the bad list. I just wanted, like, it's bad because they were effective.
You were desperate for something to talk about.
Yeah. It was bad in the sense that, like, he was an effective character. It was well done. For the good list, I guess I can sum it up by just saying it's a unique story. It does have elements of other horror movies, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's obvious, like, right away, we said, as soon as we were watching this movie, we said there's definitely some elements of the Blair Witch Project in there.
Yeah, one of the alternate titles for this episode was the Bjorn Witch Project.
Yeah.
It was a real toss-up. We had some great ones.
Hopefully, I'm sure we can find some uses for them. And if not, we'll make some. But
we'll make our own movie then.
Exactly. But yeah, like, obviously, of course, that's a big one. There's some elements of the Blair Witch Project in there. There's, like, any typical type of monster movie. There's some tropes in there like that. Any type of, like, the creepy, secluded village with the murderous villagers, that's all there. But they did, even though with having some elements that's been used many times before, they did create a pretty unique story. I'll give this movie points for coming up with something that is unlike anything I've ever seen before, and I've seen a hell of a lot of horror movies.
Yeah, these dreams that these guys had were trippy as fuck.
Like, this thing, like this this god creature, like, not only is like, hey, I'm just going to kill you type of thing, like, it plays with them in the sense that, like, makes them have these fucked up dreams and actually plays on their fears.
Yeah.
Like, the guy, every time he goes to sleep, and, like, I love the way they did this, just the visuals, is that whenever he goes to sleep, he keeps going back to that liquor store, or convenience store, whatever it was, and seeing his friend get killed. But the store is always, like, it's combining the store and the woods.
Yeah, so you'll see, like, a shelf among the trees, and as he walks by, then there's more and more shelves and overhanging fluorescent lights in the branches.
Yeah. Which, like, I had in one of my notes is, like, they did a great job when it comes to creating a dream sequence, because, your dreams are never, like, that well laid out. Like, it does, like, things in your dreams make sense, but you don't really notice it when you're in the dream. It's only afterwards when you're thinking about it that, these things didn't actually make sense.
Well, yeah, it can be something simple like, I was in my house, but my house isn't laid out like that.
Yeah, exactly. Or just combining like that, like they did in this movie, just combining two completely different areas into one, so you got elements of both. So, yeah, great job. Like, just the story itself, like, just, I mean, it's simple. The story is simple, but yet, I don't even know how to describe it, because I've always called it, like, very unique, just very well done, laid out nicely. Took some of the best elements from other movies and tossed them in together and came out with something that, like, not something that you're going to be bragging about, like, or saying that, like, wow, this is a must-see movie. You can't go on without seeing this. Not some huge blockbuster, but, like, something that...
You won't be walking away dissatisfied.
Yeah, it's great, and I mean, it's on Netflix. If you have a Netflix subscription, you've got it already. And leaves very little bad to talk about. Like, I found it really hard, like, to find anything bad to go at length about anyway.
Yeah, I've only got one thing. That's it.
Yeah. So okay. So like that nails the good. So let's go on to the bad. I know I already knocked one off my list. So why don't you go ahead?
They worship this thing that can be fended off with an axe to the face.
Yeah, like that's a good point because these people are like. We don't know. Are they? This is the thing. Like, are they trapped there, or are they staying there willingly?
Well, somebody can obviously go to town because we've seen that they have bottles and they're written in English.
That is true.
Like they have English labels on them, and they have like they've got like guns or like apparently everyone only carries like single shot rifles when they're in the woods because they've got all these collections of tents and shit. So maybe they don't go into town. Maybe they got the bottle off of someone else.
Yeah, but I mean. They have a big collection of stuff, and that's what I was thinking about first. Is like, they don't seem like. I mean, it doesn't seem like anybody is leaving town or anything like that. Like it seems like they're held prisoner there, but they have a lot of stuff. And then I'm thinking like, well, that must be from the other hikers that come by and get, that they get killed by the creature, or these people take prisoner and use them for sacrifices. But then I'm thinking like. That's an awful lot of people. Somebody would have to notice that there's a lot of people going missing in this like particular area.
Yeah, when you've got they've got like a wall full of tents, and I'm like, there's got to be like 30 tents there. You think after 30 people go missing, even after over 10 years, like people will be looking for them. Mm-hmm. Like they'll have search parties. Like they'll be coming over this thing with a helicopter. Like obviously you can't see too much because of the tree coverage, but. Well, I guess they probably just thought it was just too much work.
Yeah. Did you?
You think they'd at least put up a sign like saying like, "Listen, we cannot cover this ground because there's just too many hills and trees. Like it just wouldn't work. But you know what? Stay out."
Yeah, just
like they said that they registered at a hotel or something nearby. So you think they'd be like, "By the way, the woods are cursed. Lots of people have died. Here's a whole wall full of people, real people who just haven't been found again. So maybe stay the fuck out."
Exactly. So yeah, did you? Okay, so one thing I want to talk about is like, especially since like it seems like this has been going on for a long time. Remember the scene when they found like the partially buried tent? Yeah. And they pulled it up. There was there was an old tent. There was like some old clothing inside, and they found somebody's wallet with the driver's license that said it expired in the 80s.
Yeah, the credit card was expired in 1984.
Yeah. Did you think that later on, when they're at the village, when they're taken prisoner? That the girl that spoke, much better English than the rest of the people there, that she may have been the little girl that was in the picture, in the family picture?
It's possible because the British guy was given this mark. I'm imagining it's like using your fingers, making a circle with your fingers and then poking them in someone's chest. And he had this mark, she had this mark, everyone else has this mark. So it seems like a tiny group of people couldn't breed for long without getting into some real Swedish redneck territory.
Well, I mean, look at those people there. There was definitely some inbreeding going on.
Yeah, some, but not completely.
Not completely, yeah.
So it makes sense that in order to keep the population going, that this creature would dream recruit people, like choose somebody like the what was the guy's name? Peter?
Yeah.
And like he chose him to join the ranks of these people. But, like all you got to do is worship me, and so I think that may be it. Like, you just stay in the village, light your little log candles, and, you just don't go home anymore, and I will let you live here.
Pretty much.
She says we will live forever, but if that's the case, why is there an old lady there?
Well, that's the thing. You do get to see what their version of living forever is, because that's the people in the attic that are basically just like mummies, like chanting mummies.
Yeah, that's not really. I wouldn't call that living forever. I would call that no, not being allowed to die from old age, but you still age.
Yeah, like you're basically just like a living corpse.
Yeah, that's like some monkey paw shit.
Yep.
Where you're just like, I want to live forever. All right.
Sure.
And then 40 years later, you're like, what the hell? Like, my joints are aching, everything's terrible, my hair's falling out, my teeth are missing. It's like, oh yeah, you said you wanted to live forever. You didn't say you didn't want to age.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, so that, that scene, I should have put this on my good list, because that scene in particular, this is something about this movie. It has some great scenes that just, stand out. The dream sequences, the death of their friend at the beginning, the dream sequences,
and the deaths of the friends in the woods.
All the deaths were good. You don't get to see them like the first couple. It's only Dom's death that you actually get to see firsthand.
Yeah, and it is. Well, I think we've got we're just about wrapped up our good and our bad, and we're only half an hour in, so maybe we could not the whole story, but they're camping in the woods. They find the thing. They have nightmares, and then at one point, what was the Indian guy's name?
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember his name.
Indian guy.
Yeah.
So, Indian guy is naked and worshiping the effigy in the cabin in his dreams. When they wake him up, even he's just like, where the hell am I? Why am I naked? You let me up here with this thing? Even he's wondering, why am I worshiping this thing? So you think because he's worshiping the thing that he's going to have some weird connection to it. But no, he just dies in the woods, just like the other guy. He gets snatched up by this thing, and they find him in a tree.
Yep.
So Dom and Peter are the only ones left.
It's actually Luke. His name is Luke. The lead character.
Luke is the main character. Okay, so Luke and Dom are running. They find lights in the woods. They think, oh great, civilization, we're safe. Well, this is about as far from civilization as you can get, because they fall into a cabin exhausted, and they're greeted by a boot to the face. Yep. And they wake up chained in this place surrounded by people who presumably don't speak English. And they take Dom upstairs, and we don't see what happens to him, but when he comes back, it's clear that they've been giving him the business.
Yeah, he's looking a bit tenderized.
And he tells Luke, and again, as much as we wanted to hate Dom, this is where he really stands up and shows his true grit. Because he tells Luke, I'm going to die here. You tell my wife that I fought, that I tried my best to get back to her, that I didn't, that I wasn't a coward, that I faced it, and that I fought as best I could. And he's like, no man, we're gonna get out of here together. And he goes, no, I'm gonna die here, but you're gonna escape. You're gonna kill every one of these fuckers, and you're gonna burn this place to the ground.
Yeah, that was pretty badass, actually.
Which is a lot of responsibility to put on someone. But as far as last words go, I have to say they're pretty damn choice. I gotta say I'm liking Dom at this point.
Yeah. Oh, that was definitely some character redemption right there.
He knows my leg is fucked up. I am not going to be the one to fight these people, but you are, and that's why you have to live, because someone has to kill these pricks, and it's not going to be me. Sadly, I'm not the hero in my story. And so they put him up on this it looks like a rune. It's like a log, which is like a letter Y it's basically like a peace sign, which is ironic. And then then his wife shows up, which is kind of fucked up. But we as moviegoers, we can tell this is this is not going to end well for him. He's clearly hallucinating. But the wife goes to greet him, and then this is a great pan around where it leaves showing his wife, but when it circles back, then we realize what's really got their hands on his face. And that's when we get a really up close look of the creature for the first time. And boy, this is like if like Emperor Palpatine fucked a deer.
Yeah, pretty much. I see where you're going with that one.
And in great filming, we see Dom facing this thing, and we can see the scenery shifting behind him. Like, it's clear that he's being picked up, but you never see it. You only get to see his face and this thing holding him, like cradling him, looking like it's going to be like loving or forgiving, or that it will speak to him or give him a choice or something. But nope. As it pans out, he's already got his heart basically sticking out of his chest, as it is on the end of a stick, which is through his body, and he is now a decoration in the forest.
Yeah, and that's when you get a little glimpse too, not only about the collections of things in the cabin, but you can tell that this has been going on for quite some time, because you can see all the bodies hanging in the trees, and there is a shit ton of them
in various stages of decay, showing that some of them are so old they've just stopped rotting.
Yeah, some of them are just skeletons, like hanging from the tree. So it's...
And that is enough to piss off Peter right good and proper.
Yep, that's...
Who is so furious he decides to snap his own thumb to slip the ropes. And that's when he encounters the old lady, decks her one, which is, excellent.
Discovers the living mummies in the attic.
Ooh, this is a creepy scene, because he thinks that there's like a meeting going on, because he can hear chanting and talking. But then it sounds like more like it's only one person talking. So like I think at this point, this is before the old lady, because he thinks that she's the one in there. So he walks in, finds that nobody's there, but he still hears voices, and then he sees these corpses apparently talking, and they're saying stuff in Swedish, and I don't know. I was watching this on Netflix, but I never thought to see if there was subtitles in it, because I wasn't even sure there was words.
No, there wasn't. There was just like, because I had subtitles on, and there's no words. It's just like mumbling. That's all it says. Is that what actually comes up in the subtitles? Is just mumbling and chanting.
Yeah, this is some disturbing shit, and he's got a torch to see what's going on in the attic, and I'm just like, I would just set everything on fire and leave. And eventually that's what he does. He just leans into these corpses that are talking, and he's just like...
So again, this is what they meant when him and Dom were captured, and the lady is telling them about what's going to happen. Some people get sacrificed, but some people get to stay there and become worshippers, and...
If they bear the mark.
If they bear the mark, and they get the creature, the god makes them immortal. But this is the immortality they get. Like you said, like, they don't die, but they keep aging. So now you've just got like a bunch of like shriveled up little skeletal mummies hanging out in an attic.
Yeah, this is a bum deal.
Yeah, definitely.
If someone offered me immortality, I would be like, okay, I got some caveats here. One, none of this aging shit. If I'm going to be immortal, like, make me what I am now, or, knock off 10 years, make me 20. Make me 25. And second of all, I want to be at a point where, I can opt out. If I've decided, like, humanity just doesn't hold any promise for me anymore, I want to be able to, like, eat a bullet or get some euthanasia going on. I don't want to be, like, stuck in a body where it's just like, oh, I cut my head off, and now I'm just a head in a box, which is still looking.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to promise me immortality, I need to know the details. Otherwise, no sale. Just fucking kill me or leave me alone.
Yeah, but he takes Dom's advice, and he just burns the place down. He sets all the living corpses on fire.
He grabs an old, what was it, like a carbine rifle?
Yep. From the collection.
And he goes to shoot this fucker. And he just, like, the whole thing jams and clicks. So the guy rushes him, and eventually he manages to fire the damn thing and take out a guy. And then he finds another guy, like, at gunpoint, takes his axe, because I guess he's tired of loading up bullets. And that's when he sees the creature, again, like coming, I guess he's like demanding worship. And I guess because he burned down, is it because he burned down the attic, or is it just like this creature coincidentally just decided, fuck our arrangement, y'all dead?
I think it's just because maybe
creature,
like he escaped and now he's pissed off because he's going to ruin everything that they've got going there.
Maybe like he's, again, like he's killing, basically it's like a church meeting. So I guess, but like as soon as they stop worshiping him, like if I don't receive 40 prayers every night, I'm gonna kill you fuckers.
Pretty much, yeah.
And he burned up a lot of bodies, so he's just like, okay, I'm only getting 6 prayers. This is unforgivable. I need to set some examples here. So there's one thing I've always wondered in movies. Whenever like the leader of an like the evil leader of an organization, whenever he decides someone fails him, he decides to kill them. I always figured if somebody is scared of you, they would be more likely to try really hard to get on your good side. But if you kill them, then you've got to go get new recruits. So this creature, I guess, decides I'm going to deal with my lack of worshippers by killing my remaining worshippers. And he just starts stomping and grabbing everybody and breaking necks, and it's like, well, I guess he's just decided to rewrite this whole cult thing. And that's when this guy makes his escape, but then he decides for good measure, I'm going to take my shot. And he lines up a perfect shot on this thing when we get to see its form complete for the first time.
Yeah.
Which is like, if someone designed a centaur after watching the movie Akira, this is pretty much what they would look like.
Yeah, you're right. Like, this is the first time, because up until now we're seeing, like, up until the actual village scene, we're only seeing like little glimpses of it. You see like an arm there, like a leg here, things like that. You see a bit more. You see like its full face when it kills Dom. But this is the first.
It's Hood. We never get to see its face.
Well, I got a feeling that was kind of its face because the hood was kind of like part of the body. So, and yeah, so that is the first time that we actually see it in full form.
Yeah, it is it's a messed up sight to behold, as it is killing the girl who apparently speaks English, but if this is the girl that left her tent and shit behind in the woods, well, now she's joining it. And that's when pretty much the last person, I think, dies. And that's when Luke decides to take his shot and shoot this creature in the hood face thing. And, well, that's when it shows that it may in fact be a god, because it just takes a bullet to the head and just looks at him like, oh, I guess there's one more neck I have to snap.
Yeah.
And it chases him through the woods, and this time he suffers a waking dream where he's back in the store, like more shelves are appearing, more fluorescent lights. And this is like, this is what makes this movie great for me, is that more and more he is finding the courage that he lacked. Like the biggest part of survivor's guilt for this guy was his cowardice. That he's always back in this moment, he's always choking, he's always failing his friend. And this time when he's confronted with this creature who demands that, you can live, but he puts his head down into the ground, like, all you have to do is worship me, and you will live. You will live to serve me, but you will live. And he does it the first time, but then he, like, starts to kneel as he keeps seeing his friend watching him, like, being forced to kneel before this thing. And he keeps thinking, like, I've let down every single one of my friends, and if I live here, then if I live here, they've died for nothing. And they are not nothing to me. They are everything to me, and this thing took everything from me, and I am fucking pissed. So he grabs the axe that he stole from the guy, and he drives it into this creature's face, which, it bleeds, so it's a living thing. But it's going to take a lot more than what this guy can dish out, because, he's exhausted, he's been beaten, he hasn't slept. This guy is not at his best, he is not in fighting shape. All he's got is his anger. But it's enough to stand off against this thing. until he realizes, like, I am at like 10% here. I gotta book it. Like, he got his opening by chopping it in the face, but he cannot seal the deal. So he runs out of the woods and makes it out of the woods, but then this thing stops following him. And it's like, I guess it's Sleepy Hollow rules. If something is immortal in the forest, it cannot leave the forest.
Yes, it's restricted to a certain area, apparently, which must suck, but yeah. So he escapes, and now Mr. Bastard Son of Loki is stuck with no one to worship him.
Yep, and this thing is screaming at him, and then he screams back at it. He's like, "Come and get me, fucker." He doesn't say that, but, it's pretty much what he's saying. Or, like, "I beat you.
Yep.
I didn't worship you. I defied you, and I lived. Suck on that." And this thing is pissed, and he's just like, "Yeah, come and get me." But he can't come and get him, and he's like, "Bring it." And the creature's just like, "I will." But he doesn't. So after his cathartic release of emotion, he manages to see a car driving along the road, and he realizes, oh yeah, there's some fucking road. All right. And he just heads towards the road. We don't get to see if he gets found or if he just collapses of exhaustion on the way there, because this guy is, he's spent all of his adrenaline fighting a demigod.
And now he's got some explaining to do.
Oh yeah. It's like, what's on that axe? Oh, it's blood. Didn't you come here with friends? Oh yeah, but it's not their blood. Oh, so they're alive. Oh no, they're fucking dead.
Oh, they are so dead.
It's just that they're all dead in a way that I couldn't totally do with a ladder.
Yeah. He thought that seeing his friend get bashed to death in the liquor store was going to fuck him up.
Yeah, now you've got three people. Now you've got three more people to grieve.
Yep, better buckle up. Try explaining that one's going to be tough.
Yeah, explain that to the wife. Yeah, by the way, your husband died a brave man. My husband's dead? Yeah, but, he wanted you to know that he was okay, and he faced his end with courage. Where the fuck were you? Oh, I was tied up in the woods.
Yeah. So the only other thing that I have on my bad list, and this is not very bad because it's kind of fitting, but just every movie that has some kind of, like, secluded village type of thing like that always has the same, like, dimwit yokel villagers. Just the same type of look, the scruffy, dirty type of thing. It's not like something like some civilized town or anything like that that's doing this. It's always a bunch of dirtbags in the woods.
Yeah, you know what? We've covered a movie just recently, Dracula. And you know what? When you're immortal, you can keep a clean house.
Yeah.
I mean, Dracula had a massive castle, no butler, and he managed to keep that shit nice and tidy. He wasn't walking around in a shitty old cape full of holes in it because he can't sew. No. I mean, like, this guy's got like 400-year-old stuff all around him. Does he look 400 years old? No, the guy knows how to cut his hair.
Yeah, I just thought that was funny. Every single time, like, there's a horror movie like that with some, like, little hidden away village where something weird's going on. It's like all the characters always look the same, and that's not a big deal. And you can kind of understand that. Yes, it's just like, come on, like, it would have been just as effective if this was some town that actually, looked a little bit pristine, or not pristine, but, looked like it was kept up, and everybody made an attempt to look normal. Well, whatever. That's nitpicking, I know, but still, it bothered me. So,
yeah, if you have cabins that you live in, you shouldn't be looking homeless.
Yeah. But anyway, I really don't have anything else to say about this movie that's bad or good. It's obviously not perfect, but it doesn't try to be something it's not. It's a good story, it's done simply, they don't go overboard, and it pays off. Like, they created a very unique, genuinely creepy story, and while
making it a survivor's journey to self-forgiveness.
And it's great. I would fully recommend it. Like, I think I know it got a low audience score, only 58%. It got a critic score of 70%. I'm fine with giving this like a set. I'd give it a 75%, no problem. You're looking for something different. You want something a little out of the mainstream and something that something like you haven't seen before. Then The Ritual is the one for you. Check it out. Like I said, available on Netflix. So if you have Netflix, it's ready and waiting for you. One thing a lot of people don't know about this movie is that it's actually based on a true story.
Yeah, and we don't mean like lightly or in folklore. The events you saw actually happened. It's a real place. The creature is real, or, well, rather, was. Sheldon and I found this out when we were hiking in Sweden last year. And in the exact area where the movie took place.
Yeah, luckily we always record audio wherever we go now, so you can hear what happened in this week's It Came from the Cutting Room Floor. Mike? Mike! Where are you? Come on, man, it's getting late. I want to get back to the lodge before it gets dark. Mike! Finally, where were you?
We gotta run. We gotta get out of here.
What? What's going on?
Monster!
Monster? Dude, I told you not to eat those mushrooms.
No. Real monster. Gonna kill us.
A monster is going to kill us. Right. You probably just saw some animal.
No. I was captured by some crazy villagers. They said they were going to sacrifice me to some creature. I barely managed to escape just as the thing showed up.
Wait, are you serious?
Yes! It looks like a giant elf with a messed up upside down person in its front. They said it's a god, some bastard son of Loki.
A god?
They said that if they sacrifice people to it, it lets them live and they become immortal. Now let's get the hell out of here. It's here! We have to run!
Wait, you said it's a god?
That's what they said.
Oh, well then, we got nothing to worry about.
But what the hell are you talking about?
Well, I'm an atheist.
What?
I don't believe in any type of god.
How does that help us?
Well, I can't be hurt by something I don't believe in, can I?
Are you kidding me? That's not how it works. Look out!
Atheist shield! Activate!
What the hell?
Go, atheist blaster! There.
What? That's not even possible.
Yet, it just happened. So, question. Did the villagers strip you after they captured you?
Oh no, I was already naked.
Why?
I don't believe in clothes.
Okay.
I had no idea atheism worked like that.
Yeah, of course. It sure does. Just like, if you don't believe in gravity, you can fly.
And if you're a flat earther, then you're impervious to reality and facts, and they have no bearing on you whatsoever?
That's it. You got it. And Mike, I think I got it figured out. Pretty certain. I'm not confident enough that I want to say what it is, because I might be wrong. But what do you got for us for your segment?
Yeah, it's we got some slim pickings for this kill of the week. Because many of the kills were off screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most of them you only see the aftermath.
So I guess basically, and we don't even get to see like the demigod get killed, which would have been great. But no, so I guess it's got to go to Dom when we've got this with this Wicker Man type sacrifice where he's tied up to a pole, and this thing is just like walking up to him in the guise of his wife, and it looks like she's like forgiving him or comforting him. And then we realize, like, we all know what's going on. And he gets pinned to a tree. and we get to see Dawn just join the rest of the decorations. It's the first time we get to see the monster. Well, it's the first time we get to see the most of the monster yet. And, he goes out like a champ. So, it's a good kill.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I don't really get the reason why the creature took the form of his wife first. I don't know if that's like just a further way of making like a little extra torture. If it gives him like some relief, it's like, oh my god, I'm saved, my wife is here, whatever like that, and then to realize that like, oh no, I'm not.
I'm not sure if like it's a shapeshifter. I think it's always stuck in that form because it can fuck up people's dreams.
Yeah.
So it has the ability to warp people's senses.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I mean,
everyone else sees the deer monster, but he sees his wife. And maybe it's not even the monster himself. Like, at this point, he's just like, I really want to see my wife before I go.
Yeah,
I just want to see my wife one more time.
After being through all that, maybe he's just like hallucinating it. Yeah, you're right. It could be not. Maybe it's not the monster doing it at all. So yeah, well, good kill. That's definitely what I was going for. Because I mean, like you said, it is one of the few kills you actually see, and the other kills that you do see are not really that. There's not really that much to them. So yeah, this one was extreme fear followed by slow impalement, picked up by the head and then slowly impaled on a tree. So what a way to go. Well, guys, that is it. That is The Ritual. Check it out on Netflix. I definitely recommend it. It's nothing wrong with it at all. Like, if you're looking for something different, then that should definitely cover it. So, we want to know what you thought of this episode, and if you've seen this movie, what do you think about it? Do you agree with our opinions? Were we way off? Did we miss anything that you thought we should have talked about? Well, we want to hear from you. You can email us at graveyardshiftpod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at GYS_horrorpod and on Facebook at facebook.com/thegraveyardshiftpod. And if you're feeling particularly generous, you can help us out a lot by going to patreon.com/graveyard. And for as little as $1 a month, you can help out the show with its production costs, but also you get instant access to some Patreon exclusive content. Every month we put up a new Patreon only episode that is different than the regular episodes we do. This is where we get a chance to let loose and try some different things. But I honestly think that some of our best episodes are there. We've got some top 10s. One episode of us playing around with Friday the 13th, the game. And check that out. But of course we understand not everybody has the money to give us money. You can still help us out a ton by going on to iTunes. Rate, review, subscribe. In the long run, honestly, that's what helps us out the most, building up those subscribers and good ratings. And you can probably rate us on any other platform that you get the show, which however you listen to us, there's probably some kind of rating system there. So if you could do that, that would be muchly appreciated. You can also share us on your social media. If you follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, which I forgot to mention because we're also on Instagram. Just go to instagram.com/graveyardshiftpod and share us there with anybody that you think that would be interested in the show. And plus, we post lots of other stuff there, not just the episodes. We're every day we're posting some kind of content that is related to the horror genre. And share us by word of mouth too. It's probably one of the original way of sharing things. Just if you know somebody that would be interested, just let them know.
Yeah, be kind. If you're enjoying this, spread that joy.
Exactly. And
yeah, spread that joy. You know.
And Mike, if people can't get enough of you, and you know that must be the case, how would they be able to hear what else you've got going on?
Well, if you want to hear me and a couple of Americans talk about Nintendo Power Magazine, you can check out the Playing with Power podcast. We read each and every issue of Nintendo Power Magazine, first to last, front to back. We talk about the articles, the game coverage, the contests, the comics, all the amazing fun stuff inside. And whenever that gets a little thin, we start talking about the most gross, deplorable, terrible, hilarious shit we can.
Mm-hmm.
So it's when we say it's a mature Nintendo Power retrospective, we mean mature in the
Immature,
only in
mature in the most immature form.
mature in the most only in an advisory label capacity.
Yeah.
And on that feed, we also have the taste test, where me and my friends will play a Nintendo era game and, throw food jokes in there, like what will we substitute? Will we send it back? Will we come back for seconds? And it's where I cut my teeth making skits.
Mm-hmm.
And also, one more thing I'm doing, because I just can't get enough talking, is Techno Babble, which is on the Geek Fallout Productions Facebook and iTunes podcast feed, wherever podcasts are. You look for Geek Fallout Productions, and it's my show. It's a whole bunch of shows, really, but they've since stopped because the network has changed hands. And the only new show is my old show, my very first podcast, Technobabble. It is revived, and we're now putting out new episodes where we talk about science, tech, biology, just all the amazing ways that knowing things is changing things. And we also try to throw in good news, because who doesn't need good news and positivity in today's age?
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, like if you had a subscription to Nintendo Power magazine back in the day, you're a fan of old Nintendo games, or you're just a tech head, Mike's got you covered, man. Mike's like the podcast king. You got so much stuff going on.
And if you think you'd like to hear me talk about something else, well then, talk to me. I got a couple of hours a week left. I'm pretty sure I could fill it up doing something else.
If podcasts paid well, Mike be flying around with his own helicopter right now.
I'd have my own little drone. I'd have a platform made of drones that I would just fly around like my chariot.
Okay, guys, that's it for us. Keep those movie suggestions coming. We got some great ones recently. And we're going to be back next week with some coverage of another horror movie. Until then, I'm Sheldon.
And I'm Mike.
Please come see us again on The Graveyard Shift. Fleur de heaven, herven, herven.
Meatballs.